Hey, y'all. I promised you some home healing at 8 p.m., and here I am with it. Had some communication problems um, in my back office, so I apologize. But like I said, I promised you a show, and I'm going to do a live here because there was a question on my heart, and I really felt like maybe some people are asking this, and I want to make sure you all get the answer. First of all, I called this home healing wrap up because um, we were doing the show once every week in April when people first were coming home, and there were reports of just increased domestic violence and things like that happening because of people being home. So we talked about that. We talked about parenting tips. We talked about relationship tips. We talked about having a better relationship with yourself, which really is a big part to play in those other things I mentioned. And today, what I had on my heart to talk to you guys about was there are so many single people. So many people like to watch things about relationships. And so this question came on my heart. Is there a mate for every single person that wants a mate? I believe the answer is yes. I do. And the reason that I do is because I believe there's a reason that that desire is in you. Not everybody wants that. You have to understand, not everybody wants a mate. And so, you know, the fact that you have that desire shows that there is probably something wanting you just as well. What I found in my life, and I came on here to be an encouragement regarding to anyone asking that question, is when I asked God how I could prepare myself for a mate, He took me on a journey of self-discovery because I had to take responsibility for the fact that I was attracting the people that were coming into my life. And so when I got with God about just improving the quality of my life, there were so many things about my life that I didn't like. And I guess I wanted someone to come in and swoop in and save it. And that's not fair. That's not fair to put on someone else, even though, you know, my significant other helps me a lot now. But you know what? I am so thankful that I had an opportunity to help myself and to have God help me and to find out how to get my provision and my needs met through God so that I wasn't putting undue pressure on Him. So I'm really grateful for that. And when you do that self work and you feel so good about yourself, you're going to be extra blessed with the person that God brings into your life. And I believe that there's not just one magic person that you're searching all seven, let's see now, what are we at? 7 billion people in this earth for. I believe there's many people that you could be with. So I don't know why, but that was really strong on my heart to say tonight. And so um, my word of the year was media ministry. I believe when I come on here, it's not just about how many views I can get or anything like that. It's about the one or two people that plug in. So maybe it's 10, 20, whatever it is. But those people get something that they needed to hear right when they needed to hear it. So I guess God's message through me to you is don't give up on love. At the heart of my dream was a family, a loving family unit. And God was able to bring that to me despite all odds. So it doesn't matter how long it's not happening. It's the fact of if God's put it on your heart, then it can happen. And look at that.
Greetings.
Greetings. Wow, your timing is incredible.
You have no idea how incredible it is because we just finished another group and click came right to you. So we are excited to be here. How are you? It's good to see your beautiful face and your
Oh,
colors. I love it.
thank you. It is
Yes.
awesome to see you guys too. That is just really, really cool. The way that happened. Like, it was like, go to commercial break and there you popped in. It was like, I'll take that
Yes,
spiritual
yes.
production happening. So
Yes.
awesome. You guys look well. Have you been traveling a lot recently?
Well, we went away for a while. We doing some spiritual work. We went on a retreat, and we've been traveling in our world, in our house. You know how you have those times where it seems like you're traveling and you're sitting in one room. We have
Oh,
all of that.
so I teach English online, so that happens almost every morning for me.
Oh, wow. So is
China and
Nawasha.
Saudi
Nawasha
Arabia.
teaches English online.
Oh my gosh. See, I
Yeah.
love it. It's like
Yeah.
this way of traveling right in your own room.
Mm.
And the things I've learned about culture have been really powerful as a result of that, actually. Actually, I wish if people couldn't travel worldwide, I wish every, particularly American, could teach online for like 1 week.
Mhm.
It's really mind-blowing. We don't know what other countries think about us and things like that.
Oh,
We get really
yes.
stuck in our own mindsets. And
Yeah, we think
I
we're
have
the best
found
at
it very,
everything.
what?
We think we're the best at everything. We're actually the worst at most.
You know, it's just the perspectives are just fascinating, really. Even one time I called myself African American. I think this guy was from Greece or something. And he said, "Oh, which country in Africa?" You know? And I was like, see, that's why I don't like using that term.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
know, and then like I'm like trying to explain everything like that, and then he's like, Africa's a continent, right? And I'm like, I need to get up off here because
Right,
it's like,
right.
oh my God, I feel like an idiot. So
You know, we live in such a time that is so polarizing. We say black, right? Because black people originate in China, in Europe,
right.
in India, in whatever. And we can support that historically and all of that. And then you got a million people who don't like the word black. So, but I think for us, we see it as color, culture, consciousness, and a corresponding cosmic connection of creativity. So when we see the ether in the universe, when we see black in all of its natural forms, regardless of the word that you use to identify it, it means that thing. Because my first name actually means black. Moncho means black.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, from Southern Africa. So,
well, I do want to properly introduce my guest. I just felt like I was seeing old friends, and I was just amazed at the timing. Really kind of tripped me out. So anyway, everyone, please welcome with me Moncho and Nawasha Edu. Did I say that right? All right.
Yes.
And they are the amazing founders of Akoma House, and they do some awesome counseling, coaching, couples counseling and coaching. They have books that are, the titles themselves are fascinating. So I want you to say the titles of your books right now so people can be interested, and so I can start a watch party. So go ahead and take that part away.
We have our first book. We got it right here. It's Akoma Day, a guidebook into the sacred science of soulmating and cultural alternative to Valentine's Day. In that book, we talk about the state of Black love, the art and science of Black love culture. We talk about the state of relationships. We introduce Akoma Day, which is a cultural alternative to Valentine's Day, celebrated from February 14th to 20th. And it is now celebrated by Black people and others in 14 countries around the world. So we have that. We have this. I have a printout version, but it's because it's growing and growing. It's You Are What You Cheat. A book to understanding and overcoming infidelity. It really talks about the whole concept of what infidelity is and helping the reader understand it so that they can overcome it. We profile the different types of cheaters that there are. And we give some real case studies, stories that we worked with, about 7 or 8 case studies that we clients that we worked with, And we tell our story that we had with infidelity that kind of helped us grow to an international fame. We did Oprah and a lot of other things behind of that. And then we have another one of our books here. It's called Planet Heal. This is a compilation with us, our beloved Queen Afua, who just had a birthday yesterday, called us together along with many other writers. And we wrote the chapter called The Soul and Soulmating. SOUL stands for Self and Others, Understanding Love, Legacies of Love Systems, because you got to have that if you're going to understand and master that.
Who's the queen of food?
So we also have, last but not least right here, we have 20 Beautiful Women that Nawasha wrote with 19 other women. And it's 20 more stories that will heal your soul, ignite your passion, and inspire your divine purpose. And, you know, we are currently in the throes of our fourth, fifth book, depending on how you look at it. It's called Love Lessons, and it's going to be a guidebook into the art and science of Black love culture, what you should think, say, and do if you want to win. And so that's just
I find your, and I mean, you guys know your target market, and I don't take that away from you, but I find when I talk to you guys about relationships is very holistic. Like, it's just like something that just incorporates the whole self. And I really believe that people that are interested in a holistic approach can latch on to what you do, regardless of their background. I think they would so much.
There are certain universal truths that we are basing our work in. And for us, you know, there's just a cultural element that comes with like a corrective understanding of love, because sometimes it is like the Black story or the African story or even the African American story in love that is not told. Especially when
that's what I think. What I like about your branding is just giving credit where credit is due. But what I just would like, you know, the people watching to understand that that doesn't mean that that's only who it's for. You're just saying, you're talking about the origins.
I think, you know, for us in our experience, you know, we started off speaking a lot before, and the holiday is actually 21 years old in concept. And so, you know, I had created the holiday actually right when we came together. And then Nawasha added the feminine touch to it and stretched it out for 7 days and did a lot of other things. And so we were kind of known around we were starting to get known around the world from that. But it was when we began to tell our personal story, as I started seeing some stuff starting to grow, I said, you know what, we need to tell people who we are as a couple and how we got here. When we started to do that, people from all walks of life, all races, everybody came to us. And so we've never, like being a culturally based counseling and consulting firm has, I would say it's intrigued more non-Black people than it has Black people. And so they want to know, what does that mean? And what is a session? How is it different? You know, as therapists, even now we've been training some therapists, and it's like, this is the elements that are missing in therapy, regardless of whether you're, you know, Black, brown, red, yellow, white, whatever. You know, this is because as the parent people of humanity, you know, energy flows a certain way. And so, you know, there's practices that have been in existence for thousands upon thousands of years of healing, of harmonizing, of soulmating. And we wanted to really show the world and make corrective thought, corrective speech, and corrective action around the way that we are, you know, understanding ourselves. And I think that for us as the Akoma House Initiative, you know, one of the greatest things that we've been able to share with the world is that this symbol that everybody calls a heart is actually an Akoma. And it was really a lot of our, you know, it represents the spiritual center where man and woman come from. They go around their two distinctive paths. they meet back at the middle and point back to the spiritual place where they came from. I'm trying to do this reverse, and
yeah.
Like going this
but
way,
I'm getting
right?
it.
But it was really a lot of our white counterparts that really ran with that and began to understand that, and call media, newspapers, magazines, different things, television that we've been featured in, because they were saying, I always knew something was different about that symbol than the actual physical organ that we call a heart. And no one had ever told me what it is. And so, when we started sharing that with people, it's little things like that started the ball rolling in other communities. By the time it got back home to Black community, they're like, oh, really? Oh, okay. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, well, we just did MSNBC, and they were saying, like they never heard of this before.
Right.
And then he's coming back around the way, and people are like, oh, it doesn't matter. So,
a prophet has no honor in his hometown, right? Sometimes.
Yeah. So we've had a varied experience.
Yeah. So tell me, what is it about your personal story that you think attracted the world? I mean, I do think a lot happens when we do like reveal our own story. It's kind of like why we were here and why we had to go through the different things that we went through. But what would you say, Nawasha, you think was the thing that people were really fascinated by?
I think it's relatable that we have actually, thought about our story and reflected and have a certain level of awareness while we're still together. Because sometimes I think that you get that when a relationship ends, you're going to reflect and you're going to say that you're growing and expanding. But I think that doing it together and really like working on our individual personalities while we're together and working on harmonizing, even through some things that can be the end of a relationship, like infidelity or like, just enduring for a certain amount of time. So we've known each other for like a couple of decades. We've been in a relationship for about that amount of time. And sometimes just that is a difficult thing. So I think that when people see us and they say that we seem like we still like each other and we seem like we're having fun and we seem like we are planning to grow together. And I don't want to say despite, but like we want to thrive individually and as a unit. I think that those things seem really appealing, where people are like, I want to believe in love. I think most people want to believe in love, which is why we still get married in the face of statistics. And we still, sign up for dating sites and, we still have such an investment in love, but sometimes we're very cynical. So I think when anyone sees someone who seems like they are enjoying love, it's attractive because in your heart, no matter what has happened, how many times you've been married, whether you've been married at all, you're like, okay, there is an idea. It's like a tangible way that you can attach your faith or your hope or just what you know to be true, that sometimes in the face of community, you can't put your hands on, whether that's your parents, again, those global statistics. That's what I think is really appealing, is that we seem to be enjoying each other for real.
I think one time this woman tracked us down in a car, and she said, you guys don't know me, but I've been watching you in this community for we were out in Ewing Township. And she said, I've been watching y'all for like 2 years. And every time I see you in the car riding together, you're laughing or you're smiling with each other. And she was like, I've seen you it has to be 50 times. And you're always even when you're having regular conversation, you seem to be enjoying it. I just want to know who you are and what you know what I mean? And so she didn't even know what we did. She didn't know who we were,
wow.
But she was like, I just pass you all the time because Nawasha was with a nonprofit agency and we were going this certain way and making stops in this, in this 5-mile radius a lot during these years. And this woman who we didn't know was just seeing us. And she was like, you guys are you always stick out in the cars and the people that I see. Number one, because you are a couple. And then number two, because you just always seem to be having good conversation or fun or whatever. So somebody's always watching. And we were very intentional about, you know, everybody talks theoretically about making relationship work, but you can rarely find a person who can name 10 positive Black relationships that they can touch, that they know like they can pick up the phone. And in order for us to be successful, we have to get that, because you have to have a community around you that really understands you and knows you in order for you to be successful in relationships. We bought into the idea that I can just make it, me and this person against the world. And in order for me and Nawasha to work, there has to be a community around us that support it. That's what a wedding symbolically is, but we superficially look at it like my wedding party or my groomsmen. But these are the people that shouldn't just be your friends. They should be your support system, because your marriage comes after your wedding. And most people don't understand that.
They're not doing any planning for that,
Right.
for sure.
Right.
And you know, what I see when I look at you is that support. But it's because it's two individuals working toward wholeness. Right. Individually, and then you're able to give that. Like, what I don't see is possession.
Right.
But I see, like,
wait till the cameras go off.
Yeah, right. No, y'all not gonna be able to fake it, because you had the testimony of a woman watching you. But no, I mean, it's just it's an energy thing. Right. It's an energy thing, and also I've been around a lot of people who are threatened by other people. So, like, I can smell it in a way, you know what I mean? And I could just tell that there's just like, you support Nawasha as a woman. She supports you as a man, individually, what you need, you know what I mean? And that's what the relationship is that support about what you all need.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about you've been spending some time recently in some, like, online conferences or some soul growing. That's, like, so encouraging. You've got to know that your coaches are being coached. You've got to know that your counselors are getting, like, that they're still digging deep and still growing. What are some of the things that interest you, or what are some of the conferences you've been a part of lately?
Wow. Oh my goodness. Everything interests me.
Interests Nawasha. She's a professor, she's a student, she's a...
Let me tell you, I can literally take a class in anything, like handwriting, drawing.
Handwriting.
We've done classes, well, I know I have done classes in sex, in, you know, mindfulness and meditation and physical activity. I would say, like, most recently what we did was a practice in ritual. So using the elements as healing modalities, as technology. So that was what we just did together. That luckily was in person. But, you know, that ability to, we believe that you have the opportunity to grow character-wise, physically, you know, in so many different ways until you are off of the planet. So I don't think that we'll ever be done. Right. There's always something that you can do if you're looking to expand yourself emotionally, physically, you know, your knowledge base. So I think it's very important too. Whenever someone says they're done, that's a little suspect.
I totally agree.
If you're living, there's something else that you that's pulling at you to want to know more about, even if it is, like you said, traveling, you know, reading, you know, so many ways that you can add to yourself that can be useful, you know. So that's, I'm, you know, if I'm curious about something, I'm going to take a class. I feel like it cuts my learning time down. If I'm like, oh, I want to bake cookies, there's someone who's going to teach me how to do it.
We have to sometimes regulate her. But you know, one thing we were just talking about, this, I think last week. We were saying, looking back, we had an anniversary last month, and we've been together for 20 years. And we're looking back and we're like, you know, the one thing that we both had separately that we came together and, you know, we kind of hyperdrived with each other was we always sought out master teachers. So I was, buying programs, self-help, going to seminars, and like on everything. It's just so many things from, we own properties, we had real estate, we was just doing things. We didn't even know each other from the same town. We never knew each other. We were just moving like that. And then she was very international, living in different places in the world. And I was still here, but we were on the same track. Her learning took her outside of the country. You know what I mean? My learning put me in a cave within the country. You know what I mean? Like just, I'm here, but I'm not connected to all of that other stuff that's going on. I just want to learn something new. And so I would pay my money or go to places and do different things and buy different things. And I think of all of the differences we have individually, that is the one thing that it happened so naturally. Like in the first 2 or 3 years, we had already done probably like about 4 or 5 initiations. And if you understand that, like right now, we just started an initiation that we were away last month. It's a 2-year process that we're going to be working with this master healer. And, we were doing that kind of stuff like, you know what, we should do this. And this person is coming to America, or this person is here in Brazil, we should go. And we, like that was our club, that was our social life, that's what we were doing. And so, we're offering that to a lot of our clients now. We have a platform called the Black Love School, and we do 2 master classes a month and then 2 live calls, one gender specific where the women are with Nawash and the men are with me, and then 1 co-ed. And we had just finished a co-ed call when we came on today. So, it was great. But yeah, that's something that we realized that we have very much in common.
Tell me again the website so that people can access and find out about the classes and the books.
Yes.
Let's see, we're redoing the website.
Okay.
Go to the website.
You can go to AcomaHouseInitiative.com. So Acoma is a Dinker symbol that Mom Show is holding up. But it is AKOMA and then house and then initiative. So Acoma House Initiative.
INITIATIVE.
I got it. Awesome. So I want you to weigh in on the topic I spoke about before you came in. Was there was just this question on my heart, and I know the different people that watch this show, so I don't know who it was for, but this question came: do you think that for every person that desires a spouse or a partner, do you believe that there is at least someone for them?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think that you don't naturally have a desire, especially so now we're talking about for the greater good, right? If you're not trying to possess someone or use someone or do anything that is not for the greatest good, if you just have the desire to share your life with someone and to grow and expand and connect in that way, then absolutely. Because I don't believe that you have those desires for no reason. So again, like at the spiritual level, you're being drawn towards connecting with a person because you're coming from the best place. I think the reason why sometimes people don't find someone is the other hangups that we have, like our histories, our challenges in personal expansion, because you might meet that person that you're feeling a call for while you're expanding your soul, yourself. So that involves listening, to your heart and going to the thing that you want to go to. Even if you are saying you're going to travel by yourself, if you're really pulled in a certain direction, that may be where you find the person who would naturally be linking up in that Acoma symbol, right? So it's on your path that you find someone complementary. But what I have found is that a lot of people are not on their own path. They're living for society or their parents, even, their children. They're delaying who they really want to be, especially women, I see, like where you have a sense of duty outwardly, where you're like, oh, I'll leave this job when the children are grown, or I'll explore this learning when I have more time, or whatever those things are. But those are the calls of your heart that are actually having you make a lot of connections. So it could be another peer connection that you make that then that person introduces you to your soulmate, right? So that
I love that because that just reminds us that life is right now. Right. And I realized when I was truly desiring a mate that journey began right now if I wanted it to.
Right.
I all of a sudden had this concept of taking it from an external journey to an internal journey. And if that was that's why I felt pretty confident in my answer as well, was because in saying the same thing that you said, because once I turned inside and realized, like, first of all, I'm attracting who I am currently, and if I don't like that, which I didn't like that, then that was my responsibility to change that. And then on that journey, came a point where it was like I could just feel that person was around the corner, or that I was going to be meeting someone soon. And but there wasn't this loneliness, there wasn't this anxiety toward it that I'd been having for so long. There was like this settledness, because I was continuing on my path. Right. And that was the right path. That was the perfect way to say it. It's being on your path. You're either on your path or you're delaying your path. And you think you have a reason to delay, but life is now.
It is. Even that delay is sometimes the path, right? So sometimes when we're having this sense of, urgency, almost like torture or anxiousness, like the things that you described, the awareness that we have, that's part of our path. So I know our teacher told us just when we were away a couple of months ago, there is no such thing as not being spiritual or not being on your spiritual path. It's just a matter of your level of awareness. Because then you can say, like you were saying, like, I feel this person's around the corner. So I'm moving with excitement or anticipation or, joy, instead of, where is this person that as soon as somebody comes, you might attach to them too much, thinking that I could make this person the one, So being centered, I think we said this the last time, we always say soul. And when we talk about soul mating, we say soul stands for self, others, understanding, and love, right? So you have to start with yourself. Because like you said, you're always dating and attracting at your level. So if you look around and you're like, I don't like what's happening, the first thing is to change yourself so that you're a magnet for a higher vibration or something different. And being yourself, if you're fun and adventurous, your husband might not do that same thing, but he would be the complement to it, right? So this idea of sometimes we don't know even what we're looking for and how compliments would present. So we might be excluding someone that would make a great compliment to us, where we would bring out more of, these complementary energies within each other. Or we might, not be exploring ourselves, where now we're not going to, if you don't go to that thing that you want to go to, and you don't talk to the people that you want to talk to, it's like a domino effect. If you don't knock over the first domino, you're just kind of feeling stagnant. And then as we get older is when we say, I could have done this, I should have done this. Like, those are the words that we kind of use when we know we had more freedom and we also
had more control. I think, the cynicism comes from detachment of the soul, and you're never going to find your soul mate without a centeredness in your soul. So everybody, my experience is we're working with thousands of people. Everybody who talks the jazz about they don't believe in a soulmate or whatever, they're usually disconnected from their soul and life purpose, because we don't understand that your relationship is not just for you. There's only one part of the relationship that is for the intimate couple. The rest of the relationship is for everybody.
Wow.
And that's the thing that we don't understand. So if you're living life purpose, your life is not just about you. That's why you didn't produce it. 2 other people did. You know what I mean? And so when you understand those cultural concepts, you begin to mature. But we are not taught how to court, not taught how to mate, not taught how to date, not taught how to resolve conflict, not taught how to marry. So we become cynical about it. And then we start saying things like, well, I'm just be with my cat, or soulmates are not real, and that's just for the dreamers. And, we become very cynical. But I always say, if you show, all cynics are brokenhearted optimists that couldn't get their thing off. They couldn't get off what they used to believe in. And so now they're like Magneto, you know what I mean? Like I used to believe that we could be all great and be ourselves. Now I just want to kill everything.
No, it's so
it is,
true. I mean, I love how you talked about your relationship being intentional, because you know that your relationship is dependent upon other good relationships
Right.
existing around you, which means that your relationship also helps the relationships of other people around
Right.
you.
The community.
Well, so seeing the community aspect, and it's not about trying to force something to work that's not working.
Right.
It's a motivation to do the hard work on the inside, the heart work. Like, you don't want to forgive, like you don't want to accept what that person did, and it's like, you can look at it as what they did to you, or you can look at the pain that they're going through as well. Right. And how can you partner in there? Would they allow you to partner in there with that pain of what caused them to go
Right.
to do whatever they did? All that is hard, like heart work, but that's what the community is really looking for you to do. Not, we've already seen like the attitude of tough it out, stick it out for the kids. Like, just, we're definitely not talking about that, because that's not really, I mean, it is from a certain giving place, but you're giving a bad attitude.
Right. Right.
Giving a bad attitude to be kind of plain.
The saddest thing that I see in this country is, you can go to other countries where the material resources are so much less, and the children are hopeful and believing that they can make impact in the world. And that's all they want to do. They don't care about the material stuff. They want to contribute to the world. Here, we appear to have the most material access, but there's never been a more group of despondent, cynical children in any country in any history of the world. And I think that's a very telling thing about what we're producing here with these lies that we're telling to ourselves and to each other. The children do not believe that we know about love because we can't manifest it in front of their eyes. For those of us that want to be positive and tell them you can do it, you can find who you want, and they say, well, if I can do that, why can't you do that? And I'm looking around, nobody is happily married. Nobody is really promoting that. And everybody that gets promoted as that is either psychotic or something, the curtain pulls back and we see the worst. Now, we all have character flaws, because this is a time of imperfection. So we're not saying that a person should be perfect, but what we're saying is you're being lied to.
Right.
And there's a difference between that and somebody saying, oh, I missed that call, or, oh, I have this, affinity and I do this often, I need to really work on it. That's different. But, when I'm presenting myself as one thing, and then you find out that I'm totally something different, the children don't believe in anything.
And that's what happens when you're saying you're sticking it out for this. We are not really being honest with ourselves.
Right.
We sometimes don't want to have a difficult conversation with them, or even with ourselves and each other. And they can tell that we are lying to them, or, lying to ourselves. So what it looks like is, this is what I'm going to turn into as a person who's unhappy, or a person who's just lying,
making a concession.
So really, we end up kind of making them cynics before they even get into a relationship themselves. Yeah. So I think that really, even coming honestly and saying, hey, maybe we do want to live together for an extra year or two while we separate, but really going through your thought process about love with your children on their level is very important, because they have to know how to think for themselves. Otherwise, they're just guessing all the time about what we're doing and what that means for them. and they're either moving towards it or moving away from it.
Right.
But if we can kind of talk out loud, you know, on their level, of course, and say, you know, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm doing. When you see me doing this, this is what I'm doing this so that we can build up, you know, our finances, or wait to sell our home, or wait for you to go off and be on your own and go to college, or whatever it is. That would have some more merit for them. And I think that they would notice, okay, you're making some type of concession or sacrifice for me. Otherwise, it kind of just seems like, hey, maybe you should have broke up 5 years ago, or like save us all the trouble, you know.
Give them enough pieces to be able to put the puzzle together for their own lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they would have more respect, I think, also. Like just
totally.
And that's everything in every facet, but definitely love, because they are experiencing our love. If they are our children, even stepchildren, when we're all living together again, there isn't I can have a tone or attitude and that it's not picked up on in just a couple of rooms, or the first floor, second floor, you know, like you're going to pick up on that. So for it to go unsaid is now this, like, we're all ignoring the elephant in the room type of attitude, which makes them, you know, kind of have these ideas of, when I'm in a relationship, I will never.
Right.
But the truth is, you know, infinitely moving away from something in any kind of direction is not moving towards the right.
Exactly.
Right. And I think the one thing I'll add quickly is that with children, they are literally the answer to the prayers of the previous generation, the problems that they're having. And so when they get here and we keep telling them that we're not having problems, then they become useless as you know, people. They were sent from the spirit realm to solve problems that we're not even telling them are existing.
Wow.
So, you know, I tell children all the time, something is wrong with Black love relationships. You all are going to fix it. We're going to help guide you. We're one example of a couple that is going to help guide your generation to fix it. When you start having that conversation with them, it's different than the empty, well, you guys don't look at me, just you guys do it. You know what I mean?
Like do something.
Come on, like, you know, my mom and dad stayed together supposedly for me and my sister, and we lived in hell. And when they separated finally, my sister was already in college. She's 2 years older. I was going into my junior year. We just celebrated. Like, we were so happy that they finally separated, and we celebrated to them. And my mom was like, wow. We was like, yeah, we hate it here. We hate it living with y'all in here. Like, it's like, you're not happy. We love both of y'all, and you're just not happy. And then we get a lot of hell as a result of that. And we've missed out on, like, if we had just been going back and forth between the two of you.
Absolutely.
Or what was really sad, they separated finally physically when I was 17. By the time I was 20 and my sister was 22, my father passed away. And he just found the relationship that was really gratifying to him. And I'm telling you, the person he was, I was looking at him like, wow, I never even met this person. But he was just like, I'm so in love. I'm so happy. This, that, and the third. And we were like, wow, we were so happy for daddy. And then he was gone. And so that is one of the main motivating things that drove me to do this kind of work, because I saw what that could be. And I watched you my entire life be in a relationship that you did not like, that you weren't thriving in. And just as you got one, you was out of here. You know what I mean? And so
that's you being the answer that the previous generation prayed for.
Right.
I always learn something when I talk to you guys, and those are just perfect words. Like, it just makes me really happy about the openness of the relationship I've had with my children. And that is what I have to say about them. They're 20 and 17 now, and they are presenting as an answer. Right. You know, I'm seeing my daughter walk in confidence that I would have loved to have at that age, you know, and it means so much to me. And my son, like, I learn a lot about faith from him because he believes, and he's no plan B kind of guy. And it's like, but it's all about the end result. He doesn't care how you get there.
Right.
And that's like all the stuff I believe, but he's able to walk it out like this early and so many
That's
things.
Beautiful.
So yeah, thank you. It's the way you said it. That's exactly right. They're an answer. They're an answer to the prayers, my prayers and my parents' prayers. And we have that opportunity. And that's why, I encourage parents to do the hard work of listening, especially to your teens, because they've watched you all their life. They believed you for a long time, and no criticism really. And then, but like when they're teens, they have some critical assessments that they have helped me. You know what I mean? If you can be humble enough to take those things in,
and
really bless your life.
Allow them to speak honestly is the greatest gift. You learn so much.
Yeah.
Another spiritual relationship, if you can allow, room for it. Because like you said, you have watched them their whole life, but they have been watching you, and they are their own person. So that interaction, if a relationship is going to help you harmonize yourself and expand you, it's another very close, intimate relationship, the relationship that you have from child to parent. So if you let it, even though there's that power dynamic that sometimes comes into play, like you said, once you have a teenager and then an adult son and daughter, even a baby, if you can be present and recognize that you're a guide and, a portal for a new person, but that person is separate and they do have their own purpose and their own style. And you can grow from your interaction with them, even as babies and toddlers, if you allow it. That would be the idea. But again, just like the other intimate relationships, sometimes we have expectations that we haven't even explored ourselves, that we're trying to fit whatever relationship in. And sometimes that is part of the battle. It's just our own expectation paired with what's actually happening, and then let alone the other person's expectations. Because our children have expectations of us that come out later, like, hey, I wanted a mom who blank. And sometimes that can be hard to hear, but really saying, oh, okay, I didn't know that, and I didn't pick up on it, and we didn't talk about it. Like, that's the same as talking out your intimate relationship with your child. It's being able to have that level of, you had an expectation, I had an expectation, now what can we do? But a growth and a realness that can happen, instead of how many young people feel like, I can't bring a certain topic to my parents. And then you can kind of feel isolated as a young person and then alienated as the parent. Like, I've done this for you for 17 years and this is what I get. You're waiting for that payoff, but you have to really cultivate that often, so that, you both have that back and forth dynamic.
Well, this show is called Home Healing. And if you're listening and you're like, man, I want me some of that. I want me some of that, like, holistic healing. I want to let go of my expectations and really deal with what is. And how can I take it to what is in my heart and what I dream it to be? All of that is possible. And, like Mancha said, sometimes we get this sort of American idea about us that we should know already how to figure it out ourselves. And one of the things I like to just bring to the average everyday person is to understand the very few people at upper levels, no people at upper levels get there themselves. Everyone at upper levels have coaching. Everyone at upper levels get coaching. Everyone, like, without any exception. Okay. So if you're stuck at a level, is it because you didn't get some master teachers and some higher, help and guidance? It is available. It does work. It does take you to another level.
Definitely.
And I cannot recommend enough Akoma House Initiative. So I've got the website down there. Please check it out. Guys, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us back. We want to come back again.
You will, yes. All right. I gotta keep getting you in here before, like, hey, you know what? It's funny because you could say like the big talk shows of the world, and now, man, Ellen's falling. So you know what? This could be the biggest thing we got going. So
isn't it? This is a revelation time in the world, and
exciting stuff.
So many things are opening up the possibilities of what if. And we're just happy to be here,
We cannot discount the power of our voice.
That's right.
And what we're doing in people's lives and in there in the media space. So thank you guys again. I will have you back when there's more questions to answer.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Bless you. Have a wonderful night.
You too.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.